Hey everybody, how's it going? It is Matt and it is Bloodthirsty Thursday. Just one more day to go till we're on to TGIF. Yes, yes, yes. I hope each and every one of you, even the ones that are not happy to see my face, I hope all of you are having a great morning, evening, dawn, day, or dusk, all that wonderful stuff, because life's short enough as is. Please do like, share, and subscribe, because I love seeing all your new faces around here. Click the little bell if that thing is on there. It lets you know whenever my videos are up. If you know me, they're up every day, Monday through Friday. I'll do a video of the day. I always put in the description box a link to the trailer, what the starring cast is, your director, the runtime of the cut I am watching, and of course a basic plot synopsis. Nothing too major in there, but there is always a little more information in there if I don't cover enough in my little opinion for my little video. If I don't cover enough for you as is, if you need a little bit more info to push you to over the edge, push you to the point to whether you wish you want to buy this or see this or not. I do highly suggest checking it out. Much like most of the movies I watch, I suggest checking them out. There's only a few here and there that I don't suggest, but for the most, I like to get stuff that a lot of people will enjoy, that are open-minded and are willing to check out some of these extremely low-budgeted stuff to some bigger budgets, but not quite on the mainstream level type stuff. Not that big of a budget, but stuff that flies under the radar, stuff that has a cult following or a B film classification, which my thoughts on B movies, that covers exploitation films, whether it be blaxploitation, Philippine exploitation, the few midget exploitation movies that exist. I mean, it's all those movies, cult status, grindhouse movies. Those are all what I would consider a B movie, and they can also have some big stars in them, because a lot of big stars or big name directors got their start in one way or another somewhere, and 9 times out of 10, not 9 times out of 10, but let's say 7 times out of 10, they got it, the movie that they got their big claim, at least a successful director at least did 1 or 2 small budget films in their career. Usually you look towards their college career, if they are one of those directors that has gone through school and everything of that nature. I tend to stay away from directors like that, because their opinions of film, their type of films are a little more subjective and have usually a message that I'm not really too hip on, or either I don't like to be preached at, because that's just, I don't like to be told what I should or shouldn't like. Okay, let's move on to today. Today's came out in 1987, and honestly, I thought it was an earlier 80s movie, or maybe possibly a late 70s, like 79, but I honestly thought this was probably an 81 or an 82 release, but I was completely wrong. This came out in 1987, so 33 years ago. It's been a hot minute since this one came out. It is a Canucksploitation film, as they call it. It is rated R. It's running at an hour and 30 minutes, so it's that 90-minute mark, which is my favorite runtime for a film, because you can get 2 films in 3 hours, 3.5 hours, and actually have a good, entertaining time without sitting and watching the same boring drivel for 3 hours or 2.5 hours or whatnot, because there are some really long movies that exist out there, and they make it not impossible, but they make it a journey. Some of them almost make it a bit of a torture device. It feels looks like. Now this one stars Don Michael Paul, who is your lead of the film. He plays the son of Big Joe, and he is Big Joe Russo, I believe. The Russo is the name, but Joey Russo, John and Joey. That's it. John and Joey. Joey is the son, but he is played by Don Michael Paul. Lawrence Dane, who is a great character actor in here. He is one of my favorite characters in the whole movie. He has some amazing, powerful lines. Like there's this great dynamic between him and his wife, and just his family in general. And I really adored that about him. He just screamed good dad, good husband. You know, he was a very good guy. You know, one of those kind of characters. And then we got Ned Beatty in here. Ned Beatty is I know him mostly from Deliverance. That was, I think, his very first film of all time, if memory serves me correct. Which Deliverance is one of those movies that still to this day scares the shit out of me. I won't go into secluded woods because of it. And then we got Lisa Howard in there. She plays the love interest to Joey Russo in there. And it's directed by Stephen H. Stern, and this is none other than Rolling Vengeance. Yes, folks, this is a very cool movie, and what you got here is a monster truck with a drill mounted to the front of it, flames that come out of the top of it. It's kind of an armored vehicle as well. It is just a badass movie. This is the Kino Lorber release, which is extremely affordable, and it is very easy to get. If you just ask me in the description box, if you can't find it, I'll shoot you a link if you're curious enough about this one, because it is a very cool movie. Not to be confused with Rolling Thunder, which is another revenge movie. This is a revenge movie, by the way, folks. I'm gonna go ahead and show you what do we got here. We got the standard issue press Blu-ray, 0 reversible artwork, and then you get a little Kino Lorber Studios pamphlet in there that has some of their releases that they've done along the way. And then what do we have on here? There's a commentary with I forget what his name is, but he is a Canuxploitation connoisseur, somebody that really knows the ins and outs of the Canadian film industry. And there's also a nice little interview on there with Lawrence Dane, which I really liked. That, like, I just really like that guy and the character that he was, because his interview, he was a genuinely nice dude. He was straightforward, shot from the hip. He told you he definitely gave you his opinion and his on the love for film, from acting to writing to directing to producing, which directing was his least favorite thing, as he stated in the interview, which I honestly understand that. I imagine directing is a very, very hard job to do at times. I'm not gonna say anything else. I may try eventually, but I don't know. It's a lot of work. Now, what is this about? It is about a family and his truck driving business are delivering booze to this what are they called? The Doyle family. Tiny Doyle, which is played by Ned Beatty. He is the father of all these children, which are from, there's 5 of them. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different children, and they are all from different mothers. And not a one of them's mother was around or in their lives. It looked like, because there was no female character in their life other than they owned a used car lot. They owned a bar and grill, which also had dancing girls in there. So they were kind of sleazy kind of guys. Used car salesmen, and owned a strip joint that sold food. Call me crazy, but I'm not going to eat food where a strip joint is. I don't want to have somebody's stray hairs falling into my food, and I'm not talking about stray hairs off the top of your head. You know where I'm talking about. But anyways, so they're delivering the Russo family. They deliver one of their deliveries is dropping off booze to this Doyle family. And the Doyle family are, like I said, like sleazy low-life types. They essentially harass the Russo family beyond belief. Joey accidentally breaks a couple cases of booze, and they freak the hell out. They offer to repay for it, which they gladly accept, but then they at one point you see them racing down the highway behind Big John, and in between Big John and Joey, and they're throwing beer bottles at both of them. They are doing everything they can to be a nuisance on the road to them. Very, very crude caveman type mentality. And then you got this other character, I forget what his name is, but he is another truck driver that works for the Russo family. He is, at one point they call him a hot dog and a something else, but he's got he's a crazy driver. There's a whole scene where he cuts in front of, he does a pass on little Joey on a hill on the highway where you can't see up over, and they just miss, and he really clipped a combine tractor on the side of the road. So it lets you know what kind of a driver he is. He's kind of a reckless one. So that will connect in through a major part through the film. But the Russo family, they got John and Joey. They had to deal with that harassment there. And eventually, it leads to them to harassing the wife and the children, and they harass them so bad to the point to where the wife is trying to pass and go away from them, that she gets hit face on, or she gets T-boned, not face on, by the truck driver that is a hot dog speed racer reckless driver from earlier, and they all die, which is very, very, very sad. They have the funeral and all that stuff. The people that did the act get away from it scot-free. They basically had to pay $300 and go to a hospital, and then possibly a month in jail after their evaluation. So essentially, they got away with murder for $300. Very, very heart-wrenching, and it pisses you off. Big John and Joey go after Tiny and the family. They on the way back from the funeral, they decide they're going to stop off at the Skeezy bar and have a drink, and then they have a nice little altercation in there, which is a fun one, and nice little bar brawl that ends with a bang. They eventually harass Big John again, to where they're hanging out on top of a railroad bridge. They're hanging out on top of there. They're waiting for him to go under the pass, and they throw cinder blocks, a whole bunch of cinder blocks down off of this bridge onto him, which causes him to get in this horrible accident where he jackknifes off the side of the road, and he is put in the hospital. He luckily lives, and that what set off Joey for the final the final straw out of the thing, and he decides he was already working on this monster truck in the first place. He was going to submit it into some competition to show off or something like that. I forget exactly what they said it was, but he shows off this monster truck that he was going to show off. He decides he's going to armor it up. Like I said earlier, he mounts a drill to the front of it, which you can see here clearly on the cover. And then you see the flames coming out the back, and then he armors it up. Goes crazy, destroys everything at Tiny's car establishment, which is right on the same lot as the bar. Destroys everything outside except for the patrons' cars, and even destroys Tiny's vehicle. I think it was a Cadillac. It was an old Cadillac, but it was a big old boat. It was a huge car. Where was I going to go next? So they eventually go after Joey again. It's a 1-by-1. He takes each and every one of them out. People get run over. People get drilled. It is just 100% awesome. Do check it out. As far as any kind of ratings go with this one, on like a technical side, this thing's probably a 3 or 4. It does its job perfectly. There's not any gigantic plot holes. It's put together really smooth. The story does not have any real hiccups in it. It just keeps building and building and building, and it definitely it doesn't like step on the gas on you like building, like where it's just constantly revving really hard at you, but it does constantly. It's constantly got a upward momentum where it's going to give you a lot of thrills along the ride. So I'm going to say, yeah, probably a 4. Let's give it a 4 on the technical side. And then as far as entertaining, this thing's another 4 as well. Like I said, there's people getting run over. There's people getting drilled. There's people cars getting crushed. People getting crushed without being in the car, running away from him. It's just epically awesome. I highly recommend this one. Do check it out, folks. I'm going to put it down, going to get the hell out of here. Tune in tomorrow for one that I thoroughly enjoy, one that a slasher from the 80s that is a little blast from the past that always cheers me up. And it is not a great one by any means, but it is a fun one. I would say it's a mid-tier slasher. Alright guys, love your faces. Peace as always.